Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you try, the world still overlooks you? You play by the rules, stay honest, show loyalty, and wait patiently for your moment. Yet it never comes. Deep down, you wonder why people who lie, cheat, and manipulate seem to rise while you're stuck in the shadows. It's not that you're weak, it's that you've been taught to think in a way that keeps you powerless. You were conditioned to believe that being good is enough, that fairness wins, that people will reward your kindness. But reality doesn't work like that. The world doesn't respond to your goodness, it responds to your strategy. The truth is, most people are trapped in a mental cage. They repeat the same patterns, hoping for a breakthrough. They wait for someone to notice their effort. They try to earn respect by being agreeable, humble, soft-spoken. And when life crushes them, they think it's their fault. But it's not. It's because they don't see the game for what it is. They don't understand how power operates. They don't understand how people operate. They keep trying to play chess with their eyes closed. Meanwhile, those who study power, who learn how to control perception, who see through human nature, those are the ones who shape the world. This is where the thinking of Niccolò Machiavelli becomes dangerous, but also liberating. Once you see life through his lens, everything changes. You stop expecting life to be fair. You stop expecting people to be loyal just because you are. And you start building a mindset that actually works in the real world. Not the fantasy you were raised in. The world that rewards control, perception, and adaptability. You start thinking like a strategist. You stop reacting and start positioning. You become someone who is not just surviving, but dominating silently, without needing to beg, explain, or apologize. This isn't about becoming cold or heartless. It's about becoming aware, emotionally intelligent, tactically grounded. It's about understanding that power isn't given. It's taken by those who know how to move in silence, who can read people, who never play all their cards. You will learn how to think in a way that protects your energy, sharpens your vision, and makes you untouchable to manipulation. You'll stop being confused by betrayal. You'll stop chasing people's validation. You'll begin to act with clarity, not emotion. And the world will begin to treat you differently, not because it changed, but because you did. If you stay until the end, you'll learn the 9 brutal yet empowering laws from the Prince, laws that will sharpen your mind like a weapon. Laws that will teach you how to navigate loyalty, fear, control, and influence in a world full of masks. Laws that make you dangerous, not through violence, but through insight. You don't have to be anyone's puppet anymore. You don't have to be ignored, underestimated, or disrespected ever again. You're about to learn how to think like Machiavelli, and once you do, you'll never think like a victim again. If you want real power, stop thinking your intentions matter. They don't. The world doesn't care about how pure your heart is. It reacts to what you do, what you project, and what you control. Oh, people don't follow honesty. They follow strength. They don't respect goodness. They respect leverage. That's the first law Machiavelli understood with brutal clarity. Power respects strategy, not good intentions. If you enter a room with nothing but truth and expect to be heard, you'll be ignored. But if you enter with a calculated mind, a calm presence, and a clear agenda, people start to listen, even if you say less. Most people were raised to believe that being liked is the goal. Be agreeable, be nice, don't make waves, but this thinking leads to invisibility. When you prioritize being liked over being respected, you surrender control. You give others the power to define your worth. And once that happens, you're finished. You become easy to dismiss, easy to use, easy to forget. But when you choose strategy over softness, you change the game. You don't react, you respond. You don't explain, you execute. That's the mindset that gets results. That's the mindset that commands attention, not just attracts it. Whoa. People often confuse strategy with manipulation. But understand this clearly, strategy is not deception. It's direction. It's knowing your outcome before you act. It's the discipline to see 10 moves ahead, not just one. Machiavelli knew that power wasn't a matter of chance. It was a matter of design. Those who win in life don't just hope. They plan. They study patterns, human behavior, and timing. They say less, observe more, and act only when the conditions are right. That level of control doesn't come from emotion. It comes from intention backed by clarity. Ask yourself, how many times have your good intentions been misunderstood, ignored, or used against you? How often have you given your energy to people or causes that never gave back? You think being good will earn you loyalty, but in the real world, loyalty follows strength. If you want people to respect your values, you must first show them your power. And that begins with changing how you think. From emotional to strategic, from passive to intentional, from hopeful to tactical. If you can learn to think like this, your presence will change. You'll stop chasing. You'll stop explaining. You'll stop waiting. You'll become someone who moves with purpose, who speaks with precision, who never lowers their standards just to be accepted. You'll start building leverage in silence. People will feel the difference in how you carry yourself. You won't need to prove anything because your strategy will do the talking. That's the shift Machiavelli demands. Not to destroy others, but to stop destroying yourself by playing a game you don't understand. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be respected, to be remembered, to lead, not follow. Think with strategy. Move with intent. Stop hoping for fairness and start mastering the rules of power. That's how you earn your place, and make sure it can never be taken from you. If people can't control how others see them, they lose the most valuable weapon in power, perception. Machiavelli knew the harsh truth. People don't follow reality, they follow appearances. It's not about what you are, it's about what they think you are. If you seem confident, competent, and composed, people will assume you have power, even if you don't. But if you appear uncertain, emotional, or needy, it won't matter how capable you truly are. You'll be dismissed before you even speak. This is why those who control perception control outcomes. You can have the best ideas, the purest goals, the sharpest mind, but if your image doesn't match, the world won't listen. Your presence is a message. Every look, every silence, every word shapes the way others calculate your value. Most people ignore this. They walk through life unconsciously broadcasting insecurity, desperation, or weakness without saying a word. Then they wonder why they're treated as an option instead of a priority. Machiavellian thinking demands you break that pattern. You become intentional with how you present yourself, not to please others, but to position yourself, your posture, your tone, your expression. They should all say one thing: I don't chase, I choose. This isn't about being fake. It's about protecting your energy and elevating your influence. When you learn to control perception, you build silent authority. You don't have to scream for attention. You don't have to convince people to respect you. Your presence does the work. And that's the kind of power that can't be faked. It's felt. It's sensed. It's earned by the way you carry yourself in every room. In stillness, in restraint, in calm intensity. That's what creates fear in your enemies and trust in your allies. Most people give away their power by being too visible, too available, too emotional. They explain too much, defend too often, overshare out of a need for connection. But Machiavelli teaches the opposite. Be clear, but not predictable. Be seen, but not exposed. Let them wonder what you're thinking. Let them guess what your next move is. That uncertainty creates leverage, because when people can't figure you out, they can't control you. If you want to rise, master the art of showing less and achieving more. Learn to say only what's needed. Reveal only what's useful. Make your silence speak louder than words. Become the kind of person who doesn't announce their plans, just delivers results. That's how you build mystique. That's how you protect your power. Your reputation must become a shield. Your presence must become a signal. From today forward, stop letting people define you. Start crafting an image so solid, so intentional, that the world responds to you differently. You are not here to blend in. You are not here to explain yourself. You are here to project strength without shouting, confidence without arrogance, and power without apology. Control perception, and you'll control the entire game. Loyalty is not what you think it is. You've been told it's a virtue, that if you give it unconditionally, you'll receive it in return. But the harsh truth is, most loyalty is a transaction. People are loyal to their needs, not to you. The moment your value fades, so does their allegiance. This is not betrayal, it's reality. And the sooner you understand it, the sooner you stop being blindsided. Machiavelli never viewed loyalty as permanent. He saw it as conditional, fluid, and based entirely on usefulness. If someone benefits from standing beside you, they will. But if they gain more by walking away, they will do that too, without hesitation. It's painful to admit. You want to believe that bonds are sacred, that people will stand by you no matter what. But this belief leaves you wide open to exploitation. You give too much. forgive too often, and justify the actions of those who would drop you the moment you no longer serve them. This isn't strength. It's self-destruction, and it comes from expecting loyalty in a world built on leverage. The solution is not to shut down, it's to wise up. Learn to see loyalty for what it is. A response to strength, not sentiment. People stay where they feel protected, elevated, and aligned, not where they feel obligated. You don't demand loyalty, you attract it through power, through discipline, through control. The stronger you are, the more others orbit you out of necessity. You become a source, not a dependent. And when you remove the need for validation, you take back your authority. You stop begging people to stay. You stop proving your worth. Instead, you build such undeniable value that others want to align with you, not because they have to, but because they fear what happens if they don't. Start paying attention to how people move when your usefulness is tested. When you say no, when you set boundaries, that's when true motives are revealed. Stop clinging to loyalty that doesn't exist. Stop fighting for connections that only drain you. Not everyone deserves access. Not everyone deserves a second chance. If someone shows you that their loyalty was conditional, believe them and move on without looking back. You must become your own foundation. Unshakable, self-sufficient, independent in thought, direction, and purpose. Because the only loyalty you can truly count on is the loyalty you build within yourself. You can't control how others feel, but you can control how you respond. You can control what you tolerate, and you can control who you allow into your circle. You weren't born to chase loyalty, you were born to command it. And once you accept that the world doesn't run on emotional promises, but on strategic alignment, you step into a higher version of yourself. One who is no longer wounded by disloyalty, but strengthened by it. One who uses clarity as armor, not emotion as a leash. From now on, loyalty is earned both ways, or it's not loyalty at all. The moment you stop adapting is the moment you start dying. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally, and strategically. Rigidity is weakness dressed as principle. When you cling to one way of thinking, one method of operating, one fixed identity, you make yourself predictable and replaceable. The world shifts with or without you. Power belongs to those who move with it. Machiavelli understood that survival favors the flexible, not the strongest, not the smartest, but the one who adjusts fastest without losing control. Adaptation is dominance in motion. You've been told to stay true to yourself. But what if that version of you is outdated? What if your beliefs, your habits, your behaviors are no longer useful? Growth requires sacrifice, especially of identity. Who you were last year, last month, even yesterday may no longer serve your future. But most people resist change because it threatens comfort. They stay in the same cycle, make the same decisions, and expect new results. That's not consistency. That's stagnation. If you want to rise, you must evolve faster than the circumstances trying to contain you. Power doesn't come from knowing everything. It comes from noticing what no one else is willing to question. When everyone else is emotional, you stay logical. When they panic, you observe. When they react, you adapt. That's the mindset that keeps you ahead. That's how you turn chaos into opportunity. Life doesn't warn you before it changes, it tests you in silence, and if you're too rigid to respond, you will break under pressure. But if you remain fluid, nothing can pin you down. You become like water, shifting, flowing, reshaping, and nothing can hold you for long. Let go of the idea that changing direction is weakness. It's not, it's intelligence. Adjusting your approach is not giving up. It's refusing to let ego blind your strategy. Those who win are not always right. They're just fast enough to realize when they're wrong. They pivot, adapt, and keep moving while others stay stuck defending their failures. Adaptation is not betrayal of values. It's the sharpening of vision. You still move with purpose, but your method evolves with precision. Every environment you enter requires a different version of you. The way you speak, the way you hold yourself, the way you execute. If you approach every situation with the same formula, you lose the element of surprise. But if you're fluid, no one can predict your next move. And when they can't predict you, they can't control you. That uncertainty becomes your shield. Your adaptability becomes your power. Let them underestimate you. Let them think you've lost your edge. While they wait for you to repeat old patterns, you evolve into someone they no longer recognize. Someone smarter, sharper, faster. That's how you rise, by refusing to be the same person in a world that's always shifting. Control doesn't belong to the rigid, it belongs to the adaptable. Change isn't the enemy, stagnation is. If you want to dominate, don't resist the current. Become it. Your emotions can either sharpen your mind or sabotage your life. Most people never learn the difference. They move through the world as emotional reactors, not strategic operators. They speak too soon, trust too fast, break too easily. They allow temporary feelings to cause permanent damage. They burn bridges in rage, shrink in fear, or chase validation just to feel enough. And in doing so, they give away the one thing they can't afford to lose: control. Machiavelli didn't just understand power. He understood people. And he knew that whoever controls their emotions controls the room. You've been conditioned to express everything you feel, but expression without discipline is exposure. When your emotions leak without purpose, they become tools in the hands of others. They can be used against you. When you're angry, you can be baited. When you're desperate, you can be manipulated. When you're insecure, you can be controlled. That's not power. That's vulnerability in disguise. And it's exactly what weak minds exploit. Real strength is calm under pressure, composure in chaos, silence in provocation. When you master your inner world, no one can shake your outer one. Emotional control isn't coldness, it's clarity. You don't lose your feelings, you direct them. You feel anger but choose discipline. You feel pain but choose focus. You feel fear but choose action. That's how you take power back from the chaos inside you. That's how you become mentally untouchable. You don't need to show people how you feel. You need to show them what you decide. Let your actions speak. Let your silence unsettle. Let your restraint become your message. Because the most dangerous person in any room isn't the loudest. It's the one who cannot be read, the one who doesn't flinch, the one who never gives their enemy a mirror to exploit. When people can't predict you emotionally, they can't prepare for you strategically. The world will always test your reactions. People will provoke, insult, challenge, and attempt to push your buttons just to find your weakness. But when you respond with nothing but stillness and certainty, you rob them of power. You become unreadable. And in a world where everyone is trying to decode your next move, mystery becomes your greatest weapon. It doesn't matter how smart you are if you can't control what you feel. It doesn't matter how talented you are if you keep self-destructing under pressure. Discipline is the bridge between potential and power, and that discipline begins with mastering your emotions. Not suppressing them, not ignoring them, but training them. Turning chaos into fuel, turning pressure into performance. Emotional control is not a trait, it's a weapon. And once it's in your hands, you become someone no one wants to cross. Not because you're aggressive, but because you're precise. Every move calculated, every word measured, every reaction absent. You are no longer a puppet pulled by impulse. You are a strategist, cold in focus, sharp in judgment, and absolutely untouchable in mind. Once your emotions are no longer a weakness, you unlock the next level of power: anticipation. Most people live in reaction. They wait for something to happen, then respond. They wait for opportunity, then prepare. They wait for conflict, then think. But by then, it's too late. Machiavelli understood that power belongs to those who see the game before others even realize they're playing. The one who prepares in silence while others sleep. The one who studies patterns, not just outcomes. The one who calculates moves, not just hopes for luck. When you stop reacting and start anticipating, you stop being a victim of circumstance and become a designer of consequence. The mind trained in strategy doesn't wait for the perfect moment. It builds leverage while others chase distractions. It gathers information while others seek validation. It strengthens in solitude while others perform for approval. And when the moment arrives, it moves with certainty because the outcome was never a guess, it was a plan. This is not about obsession, it's about discipline. It's about turning awareness into advantage. When you know what drives people, you predict their action. When you know what they fear, you control their behavior. When you know what they want, you position yourself as the gatekeeper to it. Machiavelli also understood the role of fear, not cruelty, fear, not to destroy people, but to ensure stability. If people do not fear crossing you, they will not hesitate to use you. If you're too soft, too forgiving, too available, you become forgettable. People don't respect those they can manipulate. They respect limits. They respect boundaries. They respect those who remain calm but remind the world, step too far and there will be consequences. Fear is not about being brutal. It's about being untouchable. Not because you roar, but because everyone knows you can and you choose not to. That restraint terrifies weak minds. Combine that with strategic generosity, and you become something rare. Machiavelli taught that generosity, when used wisely, is not weakness, it's influence. You give when it benefits your position. You help when it secures your advantage. You support others not from emotional impulse, but from calculated positioning. Your generosity is never random. It's precise. It places people in your debt. It creates loyalty through structure. And it always leaves you with more leverage than you gave. Lastly, understand the power of appearances. The world does not care if you are good. It cares if you appear good, appear kind, appear fair, appear principled. But behind the mask, operate with ruthless clarity. People will follow what they admire. They will trust what they see, and they will never suspect what they cannot perceive. This is not deception, it's protection. It's the armor of power. Be calm, be kind, be calculated, let them see the light. But always move from the shadows. These final laws are not rules to memorize, they are codes to live by. And when you do, you no longer chase power, you become it. Everything changes when you stop trying to be understood and start becoming undeniable. When your thoughts sharpen into strategy, when your silence carries more weight than your explanations ever did. When you no longer react to the noise around you because your mind has become too disciplined to be disturbed. That is the Machiavellian mind. Not cruel, not empty, but clear, ruthlessly aware. It sees through illusion. It no longer confuses kindness for safety or approval for strength. It moves differently because it no longer plays a game it didn't design. It rewrites the rules in silence and lets the results speak for themselves. You weren't born to follow. You weren't built to beg for place or position. That was taught to you, conditioned into you. But beneath that conditioning is something more powerful, a mind that was made for precision, not permission. A soul that doesn't need acceptance to move forward. You were not meant to shrink around power. You were meant to become it. And now you see why most people never make it. They stay stuck in the emotional fog, waiting, wishing, hoping, always on the edge of action but never pulling the trigger, always wondering why nothing changes while fearing what change demands. But you've seen too much to go back. You've felt what it's like to be used, to be underestimated, to be too loyal, too open, too emotionally available. You've seen how people respond when you show your heart without strategy. And now you understand, control is the cost of peace. You want to stop getting played, stop handing out access without value. You want to stop feeling drained? Stop making loyalty emotional. Make it earned, make it mutual, make it conditional, not because you're heartless, but because you're finally awake. From this point forward, your mindset is your fortress. You don't need everyone to understand your decisions. You don't need applause. You need focus. You need clarity. You need to move like a strategist, not a seeker. Your silence becomes your strength. Your calm becomes your pressure. Your presence becomes your power. You've spent enough time explaining. Now it's time to execute. You've wasted enough energy on people who were never aligned. Now it's time to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. The Machiavellian mind is not about becoming someone else. It's about stripping away the lies that weakened you, the habits that dulled your instincts, the beliefs that made you soft in a world that only respects strength. You are not here to chase peace. You are here to build power and let peace come as a byproduct of that control. No more waiting, no more begging, no more apologizing for your ambition, your focus, your silence. You're not here to prove anything. You're here to build a legacy that cannot be touched by noise, betrayal, or time. Power doesn't ask, it prepares, it builds, it becomes, and now so do you. You've been reshaped, not by chance, not by comfort, but by pressure, betrayal, silence, and reflection. The person you were before couldn't survive the storms you've walked through. But now, you no longer fear the storm, you are the storm. The world hasn't changed. People haven't suddenly become more honest or more loyal. What's changed is you. You no longer hand out your trust without caution. You no longer react with emotion to those who seek to test your limits. You observe. You calculate. You move. That's the power Machiavelli wanted you to see, not in theory, but in your bones. Because once you've tasted true clarity, you will never return to confusion. The illusion is gone. You've stopped expecting the world to be fair. You've stopped mistaking words for loyalty, smiles for sincerity, attention for respect. You now understand that everything people show you is data. You watch their patterns, not their promises. And you respond not with emotional hope, but with strategic awareness. That shift has changed everything. You're no longer exhausted by other people's games because you're no longer playing by their rules. You've written your own code, and you follow it with discipline, silence, and focus. You don't need to control people. You just need to control yourself. And from that self-mastery, everything else bends. Your boundaries are unshakable. Your standards are non-negotiable. Your value is non-verbal. People feel it in your absence. They sense it in your stillness. You've stopped arguing with those beneath your level of awareness. You've stopped explaining yourself to those who will never understand. You've stopped chasing because what you've built inside of you is too solid to beg, too clear to waver, and too disciplined to be drawn into chaos. This is what it means to think like Machiavelli. To stop expecting people to move from a place of virtue and instead position yourself so well that they have no choice but to respect you. You've become the force that others must account for. Not because you're loud, but because your mind is too precise to ignore. The strength in your presence no longer comes from intimidation, but from inner stillness. No noise, no need to prove, just quiet dominance. From here on, everything is different. Every room you enter, you observe first. Every connection you form, you evaluate. Every move you make is filtered through a single question: does this serve my vision or distract from it? There's no more space for weakness masquerading as kindness. No more time for guilt disguised as loyalty. You are now too strategic to be used, too stable to be provoked, and too focused to be broken. You've built a mind that doesn't collapse under pressure. A mindset rooted in power, not approval. In clarity, not confusion. In control, not chaos. This isn't motivation. This is mental transformation. The kind that stays, the kind that commands, the kind that never waits for permission again. You no longer think like the crowd, you think like Machiavelli, and now you move like someone the world can no longer ignore.